This is the not so new 325i E90. This one specifically is the 2006 model. These went for about $30,000 new, optioned out. I think they reached a little over $40,000, and this one has the sports package on it. It's had 3 owners, and the owner tells me he loves this. So if we come around to the front, everything here is pretty standard. I mean, it's just 2006 flat 6, 3 liters. All the cars had 3-liter engines for this model year. A couple weird things are, there's this weird sticker over here with a guy getting electrocuted. I have no idea what that's about, but then if we move over the engine, you'll actually see that there's no dipstick. So this car uses a sensor. For some reason, I don't know why they thought this was a good idea, but it's like the most inconvenient thing possible. And other than that, the car stock makes about 215 horsepower, 184 pound-feet of torque. The owner of this car told me he's done some work to the engine, so it's now 250 horsepower and about 250 pound-feet of torque, according to an OBD app he uses. Another thing that a lot of people really liked about this generation was the headlights. BMW kind of moved away from the very thin front headlights, but they did keep the angel eyes, and normally the halogen bulbs glow an orangey color, but these ones are Lux angel eyes. They glow white and they look really cool at nighttime, and I feel like BMW really took a leap to make these cars look very executive and pretty. Another thing a lot of people either really hate or really like about this generation are the headlights. They have this really cool running light glow, but what a lot of people really hate is this random white patch here. I didn't really like the headlights, and the owner tells me he didn't really like the headlights either when he first got the car, but it's really been growing on both of us. They later updated the lights, I think on the 2008 or 9 models, and I think those look better overall, but these kind of have like a classic look to them that a lot of people, seems to really grow on a lot of people. Moving over to the trunk is pretty standard. Just click the button here, and the trunk will pop. And you just put your hand under the latch, lift the bad boy up, and right there is the trunk. Nothing too special, but there are some latches back there. And what you can do is you can use the latches to bring down the seats. The latches are just right there. And so that's actually an option on this car, and the cars don't standard come with seats that you could pull down. Now moving on to the front. Now moving on to the front interior, I mean, it's not that crazy, but there are some cool features that came with the sports package, like these inflatable, they call them side lumbar, and you can kind of, I think it's just air inside of it, and there's a button that you can click on the bottom of the seat that inflates them or deflates it. There's also memory seating only for the driver, but both the driver and passenger get electric seat moving stuff. And there's also this really cool leg extension part right here. And if you pull it out, you can adjust how much leg support you want. The owner says it's very handy for long road trips, and it can really help keep your legs, not tired, especially driving a standard car. Everything else in here is pretty standard. This does have dual climate control. Gauges are pretty simple as well. There is a really annoying electronic interface, and you have to scroll through a whole bunch of options. And in there is actually where you look for your oil readings. One kind of weird thing about the cockpit up here is these cup holders. They kind of just pop out, and it looks kind of weird, but the owner tells me they're very handy. So moving on to the back, I mean, everything's pretty standard back here. There's climate control, but aside from that, there's nothing really special. Honestly, there's not much legroom back here either. For a family sedan, I mean, this is a pretty small car. But one weird thing is that the back have an armrest, and they have cup holders here, but it doesn't just stop there, because there's also a ski bag thing that if you click a button right there, it opens up, and there's a ski bag back here. You can also remove it. You can just open this up here, and there's a big hole into the trunk. Not sure what the point of that is, but I guess the previous owner liked to ski. Alright, driving the E90 325i. Right off the bat, you can tell steering is very connected. I think this was the last generation before the 3 Series became this mishmash of like, you gotta make it luxurious, but it's also gotta be kind of fast, but a little bit sporty, and you can really feel how connected the steering is in this generation. There's barely even a dead spot, you know, you just move it a little bit, it goes to the left, goes to the right. Very, very connected. Interestingly enough, I think this is the last generation where they were offering a 325 with a 3-liter flat 6 with a manual transmission. I don't think they do the manual transmissions anymore for the 3 Series. This car feels very responsive. There's none of that turbo lag because it's naturally aspirated, obviously. What's interesting to me is that they also, as the years progressed, kind of dumbed down the 3 Series, because I'm pretty sure with the F30s, the 325 is an inline 4, turbocharged, but makes even less horsepower and torque than the base for this model. Now this model has the sports package on it, so it's more responsive steering, it has the racing seats, the suspension is much stiffer. And you can really feel how stiff the suspension is in these, because anything you go over is just bump, 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 and rocks you back and forth. I mean, like, it's definitely the definition of a kidney buster. Now, the owner tells me that this car was modified slightly, so it has a pretty good power boost, and I have to say, these cars are actually fairly nimble. You can give it a nice full send around here. Yeah, you know, it's pretty quick. Not like super fast or anything, but you know, I've been in a 440i, E46, 5 Series with the V8s, all that kind of stuff. Those were fast. Those were very fast. But this is pretty quick, especially for what it is. I mean, what's also interesting to me is how detuned the base model engine is, because literally what BMW did is they took the M52 engine that was in the 328 and the 330, and they literally just put electronic restrictions on it so it wouldn't be as powerful, which is really dumb to me. But nonetheless, it's a very good drive. You know, the car picks up quite well. So that's pretty much it. I mean, it's a fairly standard car. I'm sure back in 2006 when this came out, it was much more luxurious because it had all this weird tech in it, and you know, it didn't have a dipstick, and I'm sure everybody was like, wow, that's revolutionary, no dipstick? Whoa, how am I gonna check my oil, BMW? And they said, well, you're gonna have to sit in one spot on a level surface, make sure the car's warm so the oil is expanded and you get a proper reading. And then when you take it to your mechanic for servicing, make sure you also stay there an extra 20 minutes so the car can read the oil properly. And it's totally inconvenient for everybody, and you get laughed at every time you bring the car into the mechanics. Another thing I have to say is the gearbox is very smooth. I've been in Porsche Boxster, a couple others, Mercedes, and you know, those are very good, but I don't know, there's something very satisfying about how smooth it is. You know, you shift, it clicks, it sets in place. You know, it's a lot to say about the power delivery too, because the power delivery on this thing is really smooth. Sometimes if you shift a little bit improperly, it'll smack you in the face when you get into the next gear, but overall it's a very, very smooth transmission from gear to gear, which is what I really love about this car. I had a Nissan Altima before that, a 2005, and I mean that thing was bare bones. And I remember the automatic transmission on that was it was so cheap. I found a way where if like you press on the accelerator and then give it a little bit of a, you tap the brakes very briefly and then you give it a little tap on the accelerator again, you could like trick the computer controlling the transmission. The car would do this little hop and skip to kind of get confused switching gears, and that was always very funny to me. But this is just very nice overall. My owner tells me he loves this car. The only other car he would swap this out for would be a nice 2 Series. So I'm not gonna give this a score because I'm not Doug Demuro. Although I really like Doug Demuro. I'm gonna leave that to him. So hope you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna be figuring out my upload schedule. Probably gonna be doing once or twice a week. So yeah, stay tuned for more and I'll see you guys in the next video.